Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Wells of Wall Street. Quick update on TRIAS, TRIAS on the chart here. So looking at Kucoin data here. So we've done an intro video, or part of an intro video to TRIAS a while back in our People's Crypto episode. I'll leave a link to that at the end of this video. But guys, there's a real key target point here in my opinion for TRIAS moving forwards, really trying to emphasize not necessarily some support around this $20 mark, which we're currently floating around as of recording, but the next levels on the retracement, both on a longer term and a macro one, are around this $25 mark. Now, that is quite a massive push already from where we have been. So let's just pull this out a bit. When we did the previous video, and we did emphasize the reduction from this high point and previous all-time high around $32 all the way back down here to, can you believe it, $2.50, right? So from this point of $2.50, guys, I'm just going to reverse this because it's absolutely fantastic to see. So we're currently floating, as I said, around this $20 mark. Percentage wise, since this mark around the 20th of July, we've had 665% increase in gains, which is absolutely fantastic. Along the way, we've had a few various corrections of minimal proportions and nothing major. But what this is really showing is gigantic confidence building up in behind this project. Now, we covered a bit about triathlon, which is essentially the element around the sort of testing framework, or certainly the development program it's allowing people to utilize in order to improve their protocols or projects themselves. For I think it's like layer 1 support mechanism. So it's really interesting. Do go check out the triathlon website, but of course TRIAS in general, very much around the autonomous system development through the likes of IoT that we cover a lot in multiple different videos, and that trustworthy aspect of it and the reliable intelligence mechanism within their chain. So it's very much trying to fully integrate kind of like machine learning, but also understanding that we're still in the human to machine learning phase. But eventually, of course, this kind of project will be really helping towards those full-on goals, maybe in the near future, where automation really does occur to the point where transactions are done on your behalf, trust mechanisms are done on your behalf, all these things, including like NFT aspects. And when I talk about NFTs, I'm not just talking about collectibles and things like that. I'm talking about the general aspect of NFTs in general, where anything and everything really, materialistic or property, assets, whatever it is, can be done in an NFT format. So there's a lot going on in the background of there, not just with NFT collectible things, but they're also working with their chain for other areas as well. So go and check out our mini intro video. Like I said, go and check out as well their website and everything going on there. Check out the battleground, go on the triathlon website and check out the background section, because it's really interesting, really emphasizing and pushing play to earn mechanisms for people that are utilizing their platform to improve their DeFi applications or dApps moving forward as well. So there's a lot going around, like the video game elements, taking gaming blockchain to another level as well. So a multitude of things going on, which is why TRIAS is such a, or TRIAS, whatever, is such a popular project right now. And of course, we're not bringing this to attention because we're just flying up and we're trying to gain the attention just from that algorithm of movement. We did cover this a while back. I think, I'm not sure what the price point was when we were covering it. I know it was in September sometime. But even from that point, we've gone a really successful way upwards. So thank you to the community that provided this as an option for us to cover, and long may it continue. We will continue to cover this as we go along. But I just want to emphasize again this point here. So we've had the 665% rise. We've had a few corrections along the way. Now, we are quite top heavy right now, guys. We've had the big intake here of volume, as you can see on the histogram in this midsection. The MACD is really pushing itself to widening the gap even further, hence why we got this big push up on two occasions, actually, to be fair. We had the MACD switch over around this point here on the 15th of October. It was very short-lived. Switching back over on the 19th of October. I think we had a few announcements back then. I have to remind myself of what they were. But we've had a mini sort of support correction here between the dates of the 20th and the 25th and then 2 pretty big uptakes since then as well. And just to reiterate, just from this point here on the 24th, 25th of October, with the low of around $11, just to this top point here where we are currently, a nice 77% increase. So it's really moved massively. And I'll just double confirm as well here, 28th of September. Let's just mark that out to the 1st of October for argument's sake. 156% gains, which is absolutely incredible, guys, in such a short space of time. Now, the reason I'm bringing this to your attention is just to give you a heads up that, of course, there is still room for movement in this projection of price. We're at the top level, really, in my opinion, of RSI. We're edging towards that 80 mark. 80 to 85, sometimes into 90. It's almost a risk variant of when you're going in to invest. Okay, so I've got a few community WhatsApp groups and stuff like that, and through mates and stuff that we created a few months back. And I mentioned TRIAS a couple of months ago, and everyone's been quite interested in asking questions the last week or so because of this intake. And it's very easy to jump into projects because you see massive green and you're like, wow, I must jump in, FOMO in. But you must understand the risks. So we're at the high end. I'm not saying it's going to stop soon and completely obliterate itself and maybe have another correction. What I'm saying is just be wary, one, of the gain potential from this point onwards into the rest of the bull market. And 2, just maintaining the fact that we are in the sort of top areas right now, and we could anticipate a potential correction at some point in the very near future. So like I said, it's not definite, but just assess the risks. Do not FOMO in just because you've seen a load of green and everyone's talking about something. Usually when everyone's talking about stuff like on the top level and top end, it's usually sometimes the momentum that you're a bit too late to it, or the gains won't be as significant as they were if you were getting into it before no one was talking about it, right? So obviously TRIAS is a massive project, a very long-term project in my opinion. I got some in my portfolio from the intro video that we did actually, and just off the back of that, and seen some good gains already. If I was looking as TRIAS as an opportunity to jump into, like I said, be wary of doing it exactly right now because we are on an uptake, and I do think that marker is quite clear to try and achieve that $24, $25, maybe potentially over the next few days. So think about that anticipation of gains from this point onwards to there. That's not a massive jump, but you must anticipate some elements of correction. And actually, like from this point, for example, here, it doesn't look massive, but actually, if you look at it in finer detail, a high of $14.45 and a low here of 11.4. That's $3 or $4, guys. And if you times that by the amount of assets that you're trying to purchase at one time, that's actually accumulate to quite a lot of money, depending on whether it's a small bag you're putting in or a big bag in. That is a significant amount of money difference, in my opinion. So do be wary of that. But if you're looking for opportunities, of course, you can anticipate that you could wait for the upward trend and get some around these areas. But I would be very interested, certainly, around the top end of that $15, so just slightly above it and slightly below it as well, triggering around that sort of $14.50 mark. So this kind of area here. And also just literally kind of around here. So what I'm getting at is, if you look historically, got quite a few good touch points in the past around this area. So in a nutshell, we've had this big uptake here, but historically we don't really have much support mechanism from this point here of $11 and upwards, other than this traction here. But again, it's very much flown through things and flown downwards through things as well. So this is why I'm really interested in this area. And as we approach that all-time high, of course you're going to see some resistance when we get to around the $30 mark again. And we might see a similar pattern to around here. I don't think it would come down as low as these areas, but what you've got to also anticipate is potential kind of like trend movement. So if we look along this sort of line, you can sort of anticipate that. I'm not saying this is fully accurate, of course, but as we're approaching the all-time high, let's say we did that maybe over the next week or so, the initial reduction could be coming back down to bounce across these sort of lines just under the $20 mark eventually. That's not going to happen overnight, but it's certainly a gradual movement, which you can see across the board. So that's why I'm putting those particular buy potential opportunities in this chart, just from those local areas from the history of this chart, especially here as well, 22nd, 23rd of August. So you could capture some moments between that sort of $10 mark. Now, that is just very bearish, of course. It doesn't look great, but you just have to try and anticipate these things as you go along. But I do think that this one's more of the realistic out of the two. I'd be very surprised if it comes down here, but it's possible. But certainly this kind of area might be of interest as we approach maybe towards that end of November and we start having a bit of a tailback for another uptake. So you just got to be cautious of these areas. But yeah, of course, we do anticipate it to go beyond this $32 mark. So you could anticipate that you could be entering around about now, but do just anticipate the potential risk of doing that because we are up the higher spectrum, guys. So there's more influence of it coming down for corrections than it is going up and up and up at this point in time. But that doesn't deter from the project. The project for me is long term anyway. I'm not trading this one in particular. I'm just pointing out if I was trying to look for entry points, this is what I'd be looking at. I personally would definitely not be jumping in right now. I may be mistaken, of course, but for me, that's not a big enough jump in terms of gains for me because I would probably be only entering an additional small bag. If I was putting in thousands, then maybe that might be of interest because $5 times the multiplier of how much you put in, of course, makes a big difference. But just keep an eye on it, guys. We'll do an update video on TRIAS over the next few days. We'll see if we get this support mechanism here around 19, or we're going to come back and test these $16 to $15 mark levels and maybe come back to here before another uptake. Let us know in the comments below if you're holding this token, what you think of the project, and where do you think this is going by the end of the year, price point wise. Really interested to know. But until then, guys, we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.